If they don't take an offensive lineman, that will be one of the dumbest moves I've seen.
There is some worry that Will Campbell's tape isn't elite.
All right, we'll see.
The NFL Draft, the 2025 edition at least, is almost upon us. And a lot of people have their own mock drafts. You see them all around, social media. But has anybody put together the perfect top 10 first-round mock draft? I think one of us may have done it between the three gentlemen. David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, he has his 10. My brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain, has his 10. They're all different. All right, they're all different. But one of us, I think, may have and it's hard to do, may have the perfect top 10.
I nailed it.
And you better hope so. Now, we will be live streaming the NFL Draft, the first round at least, wearing dog shock collars. And if you get a pick wrong, you get shocked.
Man, you are really doing that. Huh?
You're going to be.
Y'all are really doing
You may
it.
strap
You're
to
I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, I'm just worried if I get hit with
You're
it like
part of
3
it.
times.
I'm going to be at home watching it.
You're not. You're going to be sitting in that chair
be in the
right there,
chat.
David. Right there in that chair.
Well, it doesn't matter because mine is perfect. So.
I already saw yours. It's
All
gonna
right,
be there.
we'll see. And listen, in the chat, we want to know who you think between the three of us is most likely to have the perfect mock draft when it comes to the top 10. Let's go ahead and throw mine on here. Let's go ahead and throw
Let's
it.
see this.
This is the perfect one. Okay, Cam Ward, number 1, going to the Titans. Think we can all agree. All right, Travis Hunter, the gridiron unicorn, going to the Browns with the 2nd pick. Abdul Carter, Justine, going to the Giants with the 3rd pick. Slick Willie Campbell, he may have short arms, but he's got a long bankroll, going to the Patriots at number 4. And then I don't think the Jags can pass up on Ashton Genty there at 5. I know some people think they're going to go defense. I think Ashton Genty goes at 5. Then the Raiders, who, obviously need to protect the quarterback now with Geno Smith. I think they're going to go and get the Missouri tackle, Armand Membo. And then the Jets at 7. You got to give Justin Fields some help. Why not? Don't just get him a knife. Get him a Swiss Army knife. Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State, going at 7. And then the Panthers, you never go wrong drafting a defensive player from Georgia. Just ask the Eagles. They're going to take Jalen Walker at 8. Then probably my biggest upset, all right, Shedeur Sanders going to NOLA for the Saints. Derek Carr can't stay healthy. And we saw the Falcons take a quarterback early in the draft last year, even though they have kind of an older one in Kirk Cousins. But give me Shedeur Sanders to the Saints at 9. And then the Bears have not drafted a defensive player in the first round since 2018. You know who that guy was? He played at Georgia as well. His name was Roquan Smith. So I think they're going to take Mikael Williams at 10. I know Ben Johnson's an offensive guy, just got the job there at the Bears. I like what he's done in free agency, but I think they go get a guy on defense, and Mikael Williams can really play. So that's the perfect top 10. Y'all can say y'all's, but
So you think Shedeur goes at 9?
I tell
I think
you
Shedeur
what,
goes at 9.
I like a lot about this because I have 5 of the same pick. So that means you're 50% right. The other 50%, I can't help you. But the biggest question for me, Shedeur Sanders at 9 to the Saints after they took Spencer Rattler. No one was bigger on Spencer than you. Is Shedeur just coming in there because they're done with Spencer Rattler, or are you not giving up on him?
I think it's more about Derek Carr than it is Spencer Rattler. Now, I know you'll say, well, they have Spencer Rattler to replace Derek Carr. If they really loved him that much, why would you make this move? And I get that way of thinking. I just believe that some people, and I know Todd McShay's coming out here saying Shedeur's going to fall all the way to 21 and this, that, and the other. I think the Saints, in that moment, when Shedeur Sanders is still available at 9, can't turn him down. I don't think they can turn him down. I think there's a part of me that thinks the Saints don't think he's going to be there at 9. I just feel like if the guy's available, you take him. If he's not, then you go with, somebody else. Maybe it's a defensive player. The Saints got a lot of problems. But I think Shedeur being there will almost force the Saints to have to pick him.
His is 50% right. Let's see how many you got right.
All right, let's go ahead and pull up the correct top 10. I can't wait not to get shocked tomorrow. It's going to be phenomenal. We're kind of correct early when we go through yours. Let's walk through it. Number 1, Cam Ward's going to Tennessee.
Easy.
You can go ahead and just write that in the history books. Then Travis Hunter to the Browns. The Browns need a receiver. also a DB. Great thing about Travis Hunter is he does both. I'm going Abdul Carter to the Giants here. Obviously, you have Thibodeau and Brian Burns. You can match that up with another guy like Abdul who you can put hand down on the line of scrimmage or mix him in at backer. I'm going Will Campbell at 4. Somebody has to protect Drake May. I'm done watching Drake May run around for his life every single game. I think Will Campbell will be a great fit there. It's either going to be Will Campbell or Josh Simmons. We'll see. Then I know Liam Cohen is the new coach of the Jaguars, and he's an offensive guy, but I think they go defensive here, especially in that interior. Jacksonville got killed in the running game last year. You know, it's a great way to fix that. That is Mason Graham from Michigan. I think probably one of the most underrated players in this draft. And number 6, you know who the running back is for the Raiders?
Josh Jacobs.
Nope. He plays for the Packers.
I know.
It's Madison, right? Those days are over. The Raiders will draft Ashton Jeanty. I think pound for pound, he is the best running back in this class. I think he's going to be a phenomenal NFL player, and I think the Raiders know what they want. When you come to the Jets, I'm going to Armand Mimbo. They need somebody to protect Justin Fields. Their offensive line was terrible last year. He's from Missouri. He's a tackle. He's huge and trustworthy. I like that. The number 8, a lot of people are going McMillan here. But I don't think so. I think you can't pass up on a guy like Jalen Walker, especially from Georgia, a guy who can put his hand down and also play linebacker, a physical guy, a captain, and that's what you can match up on that defense. I'm going Jackson Dart at 9.
So you're going quarterback at 9 for the Saints.
I'm going Jackson Dart. The only thing I keep hearing is Jackson Dart is doing this on draft boards. His stock is rising, and I think the Saints know what they want. I think their answer is going to be Jackson Dart. I do see Shedeur Sanders falling in this draft, 221 to the Steelers. And number 10, new head coach of the Bears is who?
Ben Johnson.
And God, what does he love? Tight ends, baby. Toys to play with, and that is Tyler Warren. Everything Tyler Warren does fits what Ben Johnson wants to do, and that will be the perfect top 10 draft for 2025.
Okay, so I just don't know how the Jags, and I know ETN is a nice player.
You have ETN and take Bigsby.
Well, I mean, they've been okay. ETN can't stay healthy. I just don't know how the Jags pass on Ashton Jeanty.
I don't think Ashton Jeanty can help you tackle running backs.
Well, I mean, we can look at the list of teams that need defensive help that aren't drafting defensive guys here. I mean, you talk about best available. I mean, if you're the Raiders, oh, hell yeah. Of course. That's the perfect scenario for you. Now you have Geno Smith, Ashton Jeanty, Brock Bowers. It's starting to make sense around you a little bit. I just look at the Jags. I'm like, man, if y'all pass up on Ashton Jeanty and this cat ends up being the truth.
Well, you have 2 young running backs, and your defensive line was one of the worst in the NFL last year, especially stopping the run. I think you take Mason Graham in this situation. It's a lot harder to find a D tackle than it is a running back.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but you both have a second quarterback getting taken in the top 10. You, Jackson Dart, you, Shedeur Sanders, but neither of them going to the Giants. You think the Russell Wilson fix and bringing in Jameis, all that's enough for Brian Daboll
this year? I think for this year, the reason they brought in Jameis and Russell, they're not going to take a quarterback in the top 10. I think you can get a guy like Abdul Carter to match with Brian Burns and Thibodeau that you can put a hand down and also playing linebacker, who a lot of people think is the best player in this draft. And I know Daboll's an offensive guy, but I think they take Abdul Carter here. And the only thing I keep hearing is that Abdul Carter is pretty sure that he is going to get drafted to the Giants.
Well, it just makes you, Daboll must feel good about his situation, man.
Wow.
And I know it's you felt like he was on thin ice at times last year. The Daniel Jones experiment ended up crashing and burning. You know, you do bring in Russell, as a Band-Aid. It's just, what happens if you win 4?
Oh, well,
the great thing about it is you get to pick a quarterback next year.
But not him.
Not him.
It'll be the
Probably
GM and a new coach.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a shame. Because
I don't think Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders is good enough to go 3.
But they're good enough to go 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Again, a lot right. Very close. But let's bring up
what you got,
perfect top 10.
Well, speaking about number 1 draft picks, when it comes to Mother's Day presents, this one's a no-brainer. This Mother's Day, you need to treat the mom in your life to Raycon's everyday earbuds. Every mom deserves a moment to relax, recharge, and enjoy her favorite music, podcasts, and calls in crystal clear sound. Plus, she did your laundry and cleaned up after you for a long time, so she earned it anyway. So if you're looking for the perfect Mother's Day gift, Raycon's everyday earbuds go wherever mom does, from her morning workout to work calls and beyond. even ending those speakerphone conversations everyone in the house can hear. We've all been there. The latest model is seriously impressive. It's got a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that she can pair with 2 devices at once. And talk about convenience, just 10 minutes of Raycon's Quick Charge gives her 90 minutes of listening time. Perfect for mom's busy schedule. And here's the best part. These earbuds comes with active noise cancellation, a feature usually found only in high-end models, but Raycon delivers premium sound at just half the price of the other fancy audio brands. Plus, Raycon's everyday earbuds come in a spectrum of vibrant colors to match your mom's style. I've used them. They're fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm getting them for my wife, now the mother of our child, for Mother's Day, so you need to make sure and check them out as well. And they offer a 30-day happiness guarantee return policy, no questions asked. So go to buyraycon.com/booster to get 20% off site-wide. And right now, Raycon's offering that 20% off, like I said, on everything site-wide, but you got to go to buyraycon.com/booster. That's buyraycon.com/booster. And make sure your mom has heard about it this Mother's Day.
All right. Now, there were 3 of these picks that I was on the fence about. I'll tell you about them when we get to them. First up, though, one I'm not on the fence about, Cam Ward going to the Tennessee Titans. I do think he will be the first overall pick. Very high ceiling. If he plays exactly like he did in Miami a year ago, I don't know if he'll be the week 1 starter. I think there's a lot of potential for growth with him, especially if he plays a little bit more contained within himself and doesn't feel the need to play hero ball every single snap. Or maybe he is the week 1 starter like the Bears rolled Caleb Williams out there. I'm not sure. I don't think the Titans are going to move on from Will Levis right off the bat here. So maybe Will Levis gets a chance in the first couple weeks of the season to say, hey, I still have some good football ahead of me. Maybe he ends up being like Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta last year, who ended up winning that job in the middle of the year. But I feel good about Cam Ward going to the Titans. The Browns are interesting to me because, they could take a quarterback at 2, but when you gave Deshaun Watson all that money, not only reset the quarterback market, but really broke the quarterback market. Remember Lamar Jackson wanting to hold out from the Ravens because he wanted Deshaun Watson money? And they're like, look, what the Browns did was idiotic, and it hasn't paid off for a number of reasons. I just think at pick 2, they're going to look at Travis Hunter and all the things that he can do on both sides of the ball and draft him without really even having a plan for which side he plays. Maybe they don't even know if he's going to primarily be defense, wide receiver, or whether he's going to play both ways. I think they'll just pull the trigger on just how athletic of a football player he is. Number 3, New York Giants. We just talked about him. This is one that I was on the fence about because Brian Daboll is a quarterback whisperer. I thought that he would go get his own quarterback years ago, the way that Sean Payton did in Denver, really believing in Bo Nix, bringing in Bo Nix. And look at the way Bo played last year as a rookie. Instead, Brian Daboll doubled down on Daniel Jones year after year after year. Now he's going in on the Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Does he take a quarterback here? To your point, if this is last year's draft class, I think he goes and gets one of these guys.
I agree.
This year, though, I think that he's going to say, look, Abdul Carter is a heck of a player. Let's at least keep the other team from scoring points, put him opposite of Kayvon Thibodeau, and let's go get Abdul Carter. I'm really interested to see what the Giants do at 3. I have a couple things flipped here from you guys. Mike Vrabel being the new head coach of the New England Patriots, the former coach of the Tennessee Titans. I just know the guy. I know the way this guy is wired, man. I know his mentality. It's defense. It's hard-nosed football. I think he goes and gets Mason Graham from Michigan, interior defensive line, and says, let's just absolutely stuff the run game. Let's get after the quarterback from the interior. I know that they want to protect Drake May and all that, but hey, let's get the defense figured out first. That's why I have Will Campbell, the first offensive lineman off the board, going to the Jaguars. They are all in on Trevor Lawrence. Like, he's either got to work for you now or you're going to take your lumps for a couple more years before you go and make a change at quarterback. Let's go get Will Campbell out of LSU to protect him. I like the Ashton Genty pick to the Raiders. We talk about this all the time with running backs. Is drafting a running back in the top 10, is that smart football anymore? And then you look at what the Lions did when they went and got
Jahmyr Gibbs made a lot of young running backs.
In all fairness, they had a lot of other positions already shored up in a way that some of these teams who draft running backs in the top 10 don't. But I think the Raiders, everything that Pete Carroll wants to do can be built with that downhill run game, like we saw with Josh Jacobs a couple years ago. And you are shored up in a couple of the other positions, particularly with Brock Bowers at tight end, which brings me to the Jets at pick number 7. I saw a stat this week that said the New York Jets, the only team in professional football, baseball, or basketball that didn't make the postseason during Pope Francis's tenure.
That's tough.
Not good if you're a Jets fan right now. Let's get it turned around. I think it's going to be hard for them to pass up on this Tyler Warren kid, this tight end from Penn Penn State, man. One of the most versatile players that I've seen come out of college football. He can really do everything. He was playing center and catching touchdowns on circus act plays for Penn State. I think the Jets could put him to work, particularly when you have guys on the outside like they do, and you brought in Justin Fields for a reason. Hey, give him some interior help there at tight end to go catch a lot of balls. Jalen Walker to the Panthers. This is interesting.
We all have
the Panthers could take they could go a lot of different routes.
Yeah,
they could draft a wide receiver right there. They could go get Tet McMillan or someone like that from Arizona. I just think they're going to look down and see what the Eagles have done, like what Jake was talking about, getting all these Georgia and Alabama players. They're going to say, man, Jalen Walker can do a lot of things on defense. He can solve a lot of problems. Get after the pass rusher. He can drop back in coverage at linebacker. Let's draft him at 8. Number 9. The Saints is another one that I was really on the fence about. This, to me, is getting into Will Johnson territory, the corner from Michigan. But the Saints run a lot of zone scheme. Are you going to take Will Johnson if you're running a lot of zone scheme? I think there's going to be another team who wants their corners pressed up man coverage who say, you know what, Will Johnson can do a lot more for our defense. The Saints, they stay with a great wide receiver. They stay with a couple great wide receivers. Imagine Tet McMillan right there playing opposite Chris Olave. The options that you would have for Derek Carr or Spencer Rattler or whoever
like
else
Rashid
ends up playing
Shaheed,
quarterback. Rashid Shaheed, imagine that trifecta right there. This kid from Arizona, 6'5", just a great wide receiver. I do think that they need a tight end. If Tyler Warren falls to the Saints, I think it's a no-brainer. I just don't think he gets there, and I don't think they reach for Colston Loveland right
The Saints have Taysom Hill.
Well, okay, but Taysom's more of a Swiss Army knife than a traditional tight end who's going to go catch a ton of passes. I think you could go draft Tyler Warren and still put Taysom Hill to use. And then the Chicago Bears, too. I like what you guys are saying with the Bears, but Ben Johnson coming in from Detroit, he wanted to run the football first, and you do that with big offensive linemen. And I think Kelvin Banks Jr. could solve a lot of problems for a new head coach when the Bears went all in on so many skill positions and their quarterback a year ago.
You know, I wonder, because none of us, and I'm sure people say in the comments, have any trades on here, which is fine. You know, I've seen maybe the Colts would want to move up to get somebody like Tyler Warren. I just wonder if you're the Jags and you're sitting there at 5, and we feel like everybody knows the Raiders want Ashton Jeanty. I mean, Blaine brings it up. They have a gaping, speaking about a black hole, they have a black hole in the running back room right now. If you're the Jags, I mean, how much leverage do you have to call the Raiders and say, hey, listen, you want Jeanty? Well, it's going to cost you, because if we don't do a deal, then we're about to take him.
Or would they call another team who wants to jump the Raiders?
Yeah, I would think that.
Well, I mean, who else wants? I mean, I'm looking at the rest here. I don't see anybody that really needs. I mean, not everybody could use an Ashton Jeanty, but it feels like the Raiders have the biggest need, and you're the pick before. I'm just wondering if the Jags could say, hey, let's just move back 1, right? We'll go to 6. We'll let y'all go to 5. But we want some picks behind it. I wonder if you could just sneak a little leverage out of that.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all, but I do want to go back to kind of David's list. I would be surprised if Vrabel, I say that, if they don't take an offensive lineman, that will be one of the dumbest moves I've seen, because right now they're ranked 31st in the NFL on pass protection.
Well, yeah,
maybe they trade back then.
Okay, I could see that. There's a lot of good offense, especially tackles in this league. I could see that. But I know Vrabel's a defensive guy. And when it comes to your 10th pick with the Bears, you got to remember the Bears did bring in 3 offensive linemen already after that year. I think it's Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, and one more who's a center. So I don't think it's a bad pick, but they did shore up their offensive line in the offseason pretty well.
Well, I just wonder, to me, with the Patriots at 4, it's not as much, and we'll see. I mean, Cohn ended up being right. They could, knowing Vrabel, they could take a defensive guy. But to me, it's not really about the position that they're going to draft. It's them deciding to go with Will Campbell over Mimbu or, Kelvin Banks Jr. or some of these other guys, because there is some worry that Will Campbell's tape isn't elite. It's good. His tape's pretty good, and he's got pretty short arms. I'm just wondering if Will Campbell's going to be the guy at 4, or if it's going to be the kid from Missouri, Armand Mimbu.
Well, again, these franchises that already have recently drafted a quarterback in the top 5, like the Patriots with Drake May, regardless if he ends up working out or not, you have more leverage to be able to move back. And especially if you have your eye on one of the offensive linemen who you don't think is going to go first and you want to move back to 7, 8, or 9, or even if they do want Mason Graham and they say, you know what, we think we can get him at 7 or 8, let's let one of these other teams move up in front of us and get a couple extra picks on the back end so we can take some chances on some other offensive linemen who may pop for us down the road.
Or, again, I hate to keep bringing up the Raiders. I mean, what would keep them from calling the Raiders and saying, hey, man, the Jags are taking Gentry at 5. So you can make a deal to get to 4 and get him if you really want him that bad. We'll move back to 6 with some supplemental picks. You still get your offensive linemen. You really get the pick of the litter there. So it's going to be fascinating either way. But we will be live streaming the first round of the NFL draft with punishments. If we get it wrong,
to watch
you get shocked with the dog collar. No, you're going to be here for it, brother.
I can't wait.
We're going to be all in this thing together.
I can't wait.
All together forever. And it's going to be fun. So make sure you check that out. Starting 6:30 p.m. Central. It's going to be a heck of a time. We'll see you there.